Hello and welcome to MacFormat's weekly Apple Extravaganza. I'm Chris Finn.
I'm Matt Bolton.
And on this episode we talk about, civilization basically.
Smarter driving.
And a pair of headphones that cost as much as a Retina MacBook Pro. We start though with news from the world of Apple. 5 minutes, we start with news from the world of Apple. And the good thing is, on this segment, I just sit back and do nothing because it's a segment I know nothing about. The reason I decided to talk about this was that in the last week we've had a couple of reasonably big name games come out and be announced for the Mac. One coming out, SimCity 4.
Okay.
Which is a re-release.
Yes.
And a new Civilization game, Beyond
Yes.
Earth, which is quite a big deal. I understand it. But
Yeah.
I know nothing about games, so talk, basically.
Okay. To them or to you? Do you even care?
It's true that I don't care all that much about games. It's good that we have MacFormat has your own staff, someone who does care about games.
Right.
So what's the big deal with SimCity 4? Because it's a re-release.
I don't know.
Okay.
You brought it up.
People seemed really excited about it.
It was a good game. It was a good game. It's been re-released. Well, I don't exactly know why. I haven't spoken to Aspire, which is the company that has done the port. Presumably, my guess is they used to have the rights, and when the new SimCity came out and received a lot of criticism, they probably
Particularly because it wasn't available as a one-player. You couldn't do it as a one-player game. It had to be online.
Yeah, it had to be online, so you had to have an active net connection to play it, which meant you couldn't play it on the train or something like that, which was ridiculous.
Is that a thing that happens a lot?
Well, not anymore.
Is it ridiculous that one cannot play a game on a train?
Yes.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't mean on the train. Obviously, you have a laptop. They don't just provide it somehow in trains. You go by the buffet car and it's like, my book pro, sir? Except in first class, I don't know.
That is what happens in first class.
But my assumption is they had the rights to it, and when the new SimCity got a lot of flack, they said, well, we've got the last SimCity and people like that enough, let's re-release it. But possibly the time it's taken to update it to work well with Mavericks or new Macs or whatever has meant that the new SimCity has now included an offline mode, meaning that criticism is catered for.
Although the performance of SimCity, the new one, is still quite poor on Macs.
It is quite poor.
So, Beyond Earth then.
Yeah, Civilization Beyond Earth. Civilization is a very popular strategy game series.
Thank you.
You may have heard of it.
But you laugh. I just have.
But what Civilization Beyond Earth is essentially an older game called Alpha Centauri, which was sort of a spin-off from the Civilization series where you took place on another planet instead of our planet. Civilization is based around the idea of starting at X years BC and going through to 2050, and you must be the most advanced civilization once you reach the end, or kill all the others.
Do we know when Beyond Earth due?
Autumn.
So not that far away. All right. So, but basically, this is a segue into just Mac gaming, eh?
Oh, okay. We've only got 2 minutes.
We've got 2 minutes. So basically, sum up the state of Mac gaming in 2 minutes. In fact, 1 minute 54 seconds.
It is a little bit not great, but it is growing, which is good. The tools are better than ever. Things like Unity, and there's cross-platform support in various other game engines.
Unity being a game engine that devs can hook into.
Yeah, literally the tools to make the games often support Mac out of the box now, and iOS. And the two don't entirely go hand in hand, but a little bit.
There are some similarities.
Which is good. That means we're getting loads of indie games, really cool new stuff on Steam that costs between 5 and 10 quid, or even a little bit more. Really cool little experiences.
Steam is a big reason why Mac gaming has had a resurgence.
Yes, Steam is the digital game store that appeared about the same time as the Mac App Store did. The problem is the Mac App Store is boned. There aren't many games coming out on it, and one of the key and the games that big name games that do come out on it often don't have multiplayer or other similar features because Apple's rules about what you can implement if you release on the Mac App Store are so restrictive.
You can only do Game
and so
Center.
Behind. Basically, you can only do Game Center, and Game Center
which limits it to
worst.
just the Mac from 10 point something, 10.8 was it?
So some developers are just ditching the multiplayer from their games when they release on the Mac App Store. You don't literally get less game because sometimes they throw in something else to balance it up. And in some games like Tomb Raider, the multiplayer is an afterthought and really isn't the point of the game anyway.
The Mac hardware used to be absolutely rubbish for gaming. These days, not so much.
The hardware is fine.
Yeah.
The drivers are still not the best. They're still a bit behind, so performance on... If you loaded your Mac into Windows, you'd get much better performance from games than you do on the Mac. So basically, there's a lot that's wrong, but it is slowly improving, and at least there's more games. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
There are more games, and the indie ones do play well.
My timer's gone off, but it's not making a noise. If I just go, "Rrrr, rrrr," there we go.
Like an attracted elephant.
Yes, that's what they all say. Let's move on though to Matt's
Please.
section on the world of tech.
So for the wider world of tech this week, I want to talk about driving, but not CarPlay. Although I will briefly acknowledge that they've now said that CarPlay will come to aftermarket units that you can install in current cars.
Making a lie of my feature on CarPlay, which is with the printers now
Not
coming
even
out
on
in
sale
MacFormat.
yet, but-
Bastards.
Hey.
So Pioneer and IPTech or somebody has said...
Someone like that. It was definitely Pioneer.
Yeah.
But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about other cool driving technology. I was spurred by, I read last night, in fact, about a...
Topical.
Yes. A concept from the Netherlands for getting rid of streetlights. I think it was from the
Oh,
Netherlands.
I've seen this.
Getting rid of streetlights and instead having glowing road markings.
Yes.
Which, if you combined with either just straight up self-driving cars or cars that have infrared cameras to help you see better in the dark, as is a thing that is increasingly happening in high-end cars.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about all this cool driving
Well,
tech that's finally...
I saw another really cool one the
coming
other day.
out.
Did you see the one with the transparent bonnet, transparent engine? So Land Rover, I think, has built a system whereby they're using a HUD, a heads-up display, to overlay over the vision of the car bonnet going in front of you a feed from a camera beneath the car.
Okay.
So it's essentially...
But like skewed.
Yeah. So essentially making the bonnet transparent.
Is this so you can see faults or just because it's quite a big engine? Wouldn't it be nice if you could see it going?
No, well, 'cause you can't see the engine.
What can you see?
You see the ground beneath.
Oh!
Yeah.
Why do you want to do that?
Because so you can see like for potholes and
But by the time they've gone
under the car.
under the car, it's a bit late to... Oh yeah, that was it. Damn.
Conceivably. I shouldn't read any further, just saw the picture and went, that looks cool. There may be other better reasons.
Yeah.
Self-driving cars, though, is becoming a thing. We didn't do the timer again. Let's say 4 minutes. God's sake. I can't even do 4 minutes. There we go. Self-driving cars is becoming a thing. And in fact, there are states in the States...
There are some states, yeah.
which I believe are beginning to...
I think they're pushing it in California, and I think they've already got it in Nevada, because Nevada is where Google was testing its...
And also it's just huge and desert.
Yeah, you can't really crash.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's where Google's been testing its self-driving cars.
But there's a whole bunch of stuff. So you got fully self-driving, so you've basically got LiDAR, haven't you, spinning around on the top of the car, looking at terrain, making judgment decisions.
And a bunch of other sensors around.
A bunch of other sensors as well, but LiDAR I think is your sort of primary one for the terrain. But then the thing that really interests me is road trains, where you sort of virtually hook onto the car in front of you by sensors.
Yes.
And you don't do anything.
Not even so much by sensors. Some of the tech that I was seeing, I think it was Volvo's, is basically the car in front communicates what's happening, what it's doing to the car behind, and the car behind can just copy. It doesn't actually need sensors of its own.
That's kind of what metadata essentially about what the car in front is doing.
Yeah. I mean, they do still need sensors because if they're at the front of the train, then something needs to be telling them what's going on. But the idea is that if we just made smarter cars that talk to each other, that were interoperable and things like that, the self-driving thing would only be one part of it.
Yes.
Only one car needs to be able to detect things with that detail. I suppose the others do, just like someone could dart out between the cars or something.
You'd want some information, wouldn't you? Like if you were to hook onto a car in front, is this guy a maniac? Is this you need a?
But that guy wouldn't be driving.
You need a system of, but like
only is that guy's AI a maniac.
But if he is driving, like if the car at the front of the front of the road train is actually manually driving,
I would assume that it would tell your car that. And your car would go, well, I'm not following.
The hell with that.
Humans driving, that's crazy.
Yeah. It really reminds me of, I think we've talked about this before, there's a terrific scene in the new iRobot. I say new, Was it
10
like
years ago?
the more recent iRobot of when they're driving and the cars are on these sort of maglev, I think, sort of tracks, and Will Smith wrestles the car off and drives it manually, and the woman's reaction is brilliant because she's like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
Because you can imagine getting to a state where you're so reliant on self-driving cars or cars on tracks, essentially, that the idea of manually moving a car would be absolute lunacy.
Yeah. I think it was friend of MacFormat, Jeremy Laird, on Tech Radar, who kind of said, like, in a few years, like now, self-driving seems weird, and there are loads of people who are like, oh, I wouldn't trust driving to a computer, even though self-driving cars are statistically much, much safer, so far, at least. But in a few years, it'll be like the crazy things where we used to let people just hot babies on wooden benches in the backs of cars, and that was fine, and we didn't have crumble zones or airbags, and we can't imagine a time like that now.
And of course, air travel, which is the safest form of travel, is all fly-by-wire.
Yep.
It's pilots still involved in takeoff and landing, but even that's getting pressure not to be true.
Yes.
And we implicitly trust that, even though we don't think about it. I mean,
absolutely.
I think it would take quite a lot for us to completely, because there are visions of the future, aren't there, of just little pods with the seats facing inwards rather than being seat. It'd be seat. So
Yeah.
you'd be all talking to each other like around a coffee table sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that would take a lot for us to completely give up control of the car.
Yeah, I think so. I think
You want somebody to have a steering wheel or joystick at hand.
it's going to be like a slow progress thing. We get more and more stuff like that in airports and things like that. At Heathrow, they've got these self-driving pods, and they hugely reduce waiting times compared to buses and things like that.
And it's very efficient. It's very, very fuel efficient, and
Yeah.
it can be making good decisions about what you're doing. Time's up. Go and get your insanely expensive headphones then, and let's
I will.
have a look. So 5 minutes, and Matt went to London last Friday. Actually, in fact, just after we recorded the last episode of the MacFormat Weekly Extravaganza, to get
a pair of headphones. This is the box that the headphones
the
come in.
banging of the noise of the. Okay, this is going to take 5 minutes just to get into it. So start.
So basically, yes, they cost £1,099.
Which is the same as a 13-inch Retina MacBook Pro.
Yes,
Cameraman,
it is.
come and have a little look at the unboxing that's happening here.
So that's the first box. Would you mind? Yep. They're from a company called Oppo, which is normally known for its Blu-ray players, in a matter of fact. That's the second box. They are a special kind of
Concentrate.
headphones. Yes. Here we go. Now this is the third box.
Just point out, this box is sort of flock lined. It's sort of
to contain the
lovely rosewood box.
Yes.
On top.
And this eventually reveals a pair of headphones that are normal size.
But yes.
You take them.
It's a lovely box.
It is.
Is it £1,100 of lovely? But that's not where the money goes.
Well, it is a bit.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it?
Basically, these are a kind of headphone called planar magnetic. And as far as I can tell, they're quite expensive to make. Very expensive. So Oppo has just gone, well, screw it. What if we just turned everything up to 11 and made a really expensive pair of headphones? So
So to
the
be clear,
technology in it is mega high end and
it's a different kind of technology to what we normally find in the diaphragms of normal headphones.
Yes,
it's not to say it's
exactly.
necessarily better or worse per se. That in itself doesn't make it better.
Oppo is explicitly saying
No,
that.
but my point is that the fact that it's different doesn't make it necessarily better, but that it is different and it's an expensive process.
Yes, and that's expensive to make, or it seems to be. Then you've got lambskin and natural latex ear pads, as well as a spare pair of velour ear pads.
Nice.
Lambskin thing. All of this stuff is aluminium. None of it's plastic. Everything is very finely made. Every single pair is individually tested once it comes off the production line to check that its audio is as good or as distortion free as they claim, and that's its big thing, is that there's much less distortion compared to normal the normal way of making headphones.
Let's have a little feel.
Also, every pair, like every kind of movement, the twists and the stretches, they're all tested to like 20,000 or 5,000 stretches to make sure they're as durable as they should be.
There is, and I think we've mentioned this before. There is a website which reviews hi-fis based solely on knobfeel,
knobfeel.com.
the feel of the knobs in the front, which is the first time you hear that is hilarious, and then you sort of go, I can see why you'd care about that, and certainly, and it's such a stupid thing, I know, but just that action, that the fact that it's tight, but that is really nice. I'll stop going on about it.
It's really nicely made.
Yeah,
it is, as you'd hope.
It just is for £1,100. It's
£1,099.
just really nice. I'm going to put these on. Keep talking. I think I'll be able to hear you.
Yes.
Well, in fact, I will, because they're open, aren't they?
They are open, and also there's no music going through them. You don't even have them plugged in. They are actually cabled.
Yeah.
They come with 2 sets of cables.
Hydraulic.
Like a robot.
They're really comfy.
Yeah, they're
They're
really
insanely comfy. So soft. And light. Really light.
They've also made a point of designing them so that even when you're wearing glasses like we are, that won't disrupt the audio feel, the sound of it, like it can do. Like it can open up too much and you lose the bass.
How do they sound?
They sound fantastic in a quiet room.
Yeah.
If there's any noise around, it will interfere with it.
Yeah.
They're
not active or passive noise cancelling. They're just, and they're open backed. So
yeah, exactly. There's nothing at all.
Not
Sound
fully
leaks out. Sound leaks in.
Yeah.
If you've got a nice armchair next to a hi-fi at home, they are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I listened to them on the train on the way back immediately from getting them, and I could hear everything the guys next to me said, and not all of my music.
I love the fact that these are quite obviously esoteric headphones, but you got on the tube and a guy on the platform was like, "Oh, is that the Apple P1?"
That was crazy.
Is that what they're called?
PM1s.
PM1s.
Yeah, I'm just standing on the tube with this massive box. He goes, "Oh my god, those are the new planar magnetic headphones from Oppo. I can't wait to try them."
I still think he was a stooge. I think Oppo had put
They
him
just sent
there.
someone following us from the hotel. So that was a bit crazy.
You tell me there's a cheaper version?
There is a cheaper version of these coming out that will be £600 instead of £199.
Cheaper.
It's nearly half the price.
Yeah.
And that'll have synthetic leather, and some of these metal bits will be plastic and things like that.
So synthetic leather might actually be a benefit for some people, because obviously some people don't want to have actual leather on their things.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, there you go. So, Apple and gaming. Gaming on a Mac, is that a good thing, a bad thing? Do we really care? I certainly don't, but other people do. We also have self-driving cars. Good, bad, gonna kill you, gonna make you safer. Is it gonna be a dystopian sci-fi future? And if you're gonna buy a pair of these, tell us in the comments and basically tell us how we can become your friend, because you've obviously got a lot of money.
Yes, and if you've got that much money, please do. In fact, even if you don't have that much money, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com.
Because it's free.
We should charge.
Yeah, we should charge.
You can subscribe at youtube.com/MacFormatUK. You can watch any of our previous episodes using the button in the middle that shows us doing things from last week. And you can get a free trial of the interactive MacFormat iPad App Edition magazine at macformat.com/iPad.
You certainly can. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
No klaxon?
No, for some reason, klaxon's not klaxoning.
Have you got mute on? Yes.
Fuck's sake.
He knows about iOS.
Well, your elephant mating call was very amusing at first for the extravaganza.
But not for me.
All right.